Hello everyone and welcome to part 9 of What If Peter Parker, along with most of the Marvel Universe, because this is kind of the fusion series, was in My Hero Academia. I do hope you guys are enjoying the series. This time we're gonna be doing the provisional licensing exam, dealing with all that stuff and having fun with that. I do hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you do, please like, subscribe, all of that. If you have any comments, suggestions, and whatnot, always leave them in the comments below. You can also check out my Discord or subscribe if you're new. Hit that little bell, although I don't like promoting that because it's kind of the thing that everyone does, which is also the reason I don't usually do. Only 41% of you are actually subscribed, because I feel like it's a trend that starts and I'm always like, I'm just going to ask for the like and subscribe, which at the beginning I even didn't want to do because I thought it was too tacky, but then I realized if you don't ask for it, people aren't going to like the video that much, and I want to know how much you guys like the series, so the like tells me this series is liked. This will also get more promoted on YouTube, and the subscribing helps me because some people usually forget it. Yeah, that said, I hope you guys all enjoy the video. That's my number one priority here, making cool stuff. And I think I did pretty good for this one, so enjoy. 2 days after the battle between All Might and All for One, Peter's discharged from the hospital. During the time he was there, he was sent a bunch of messages of support from his friends, and many actually went to visit him. Although he was allowed to go home, the doctors did advise him to take it easy. Since being allowed home, Peter did as they told him to. He just hung around home, designing some stuff and equipment. More out of boredom than anything else, but he was still taking his notes and many other factors into account, like some villain profiles and problems that he may encounter in the future that he came up with. He also started doing some research into Melissa's shield and many other new types of technology, finding some fascinating stuff, including some prototype designs and materials. After a couple days at home, Aizawa comes to visit. The doorbell rings and Peter goes to open the door. He looks at the tired Aizawa puzzled and asks, "Mr. Aizawa, what are you doing here?" "Hello, Peter. I'm here to talk to your legal guardian." Aizawa responds, "It's about the dorms." "Oh, May, it's for you!" Peter shouts into the house, wanting to get her attention without having to move. As she walks to the entrance, Peter asks Aizawa, "What about the dorms?" "To increase security and better protect its students, UA is creating dorms, although we need parental consent to actually move the students there," Aizawa explains. Almay reaches the door and urges the teacher to come in. "Do you want tea or something?" she asks. "If it isn't any trouble, I'd like to ask for a glass of water," Aizawa answers, being thirsty after having visited so many houses and having done so many pitches already. "Well, I'll leave you to it," says Peter, not having much interest if the dorms get implemented or not, so he goes to continue his designs. After a lengthy discussion, Aunt May decides to allow Peter to go to the dormitories, deciding it's the best for his future, and thinking that she can just hire a nanny for when he's not home. A few days later, Peter heads to UA, meeting everyone in front of the New Heights Alliance building. "Sorry I'm late," says Peter while running towards the group. "Hey, Peter!" Kitty greets as he approaches. "You seem to be making a habit of this, at least lately." "It's fine, Peter, we haven't really started yet," says Aizawa. "Although now that you're all here, I suppose it's time to explain how everything will work from now on." Aizawa then reminds the students about the provisional licenses, before scolding most of them for having broken the rules and gone to rescue Bakugo. He then welcomes the students to their new home, actually guiding them throughout the building. As they walk, the students excitedly inspect their new living quarters, excited about everything they find. Aizawa shows the students which rooms belong to which students, tells them to unpack, and informs them that training will begin the next day. The students go to work, settling into their new living quarters. After a couple hours of settling in, they head to the common area to relax for a bit. Peter just goes to grab a glass of water and starts drinking, continuing his thinking on how to upgrade his suits, one of the many projects he has been working on. The girls then approach, proposing a room judging contest, an idea which is accepted by most of the class. They head to the second floor to start. Skipping Minetta's room, they start with Midoriya's, then they head to Peter's. Peter tries to block the entrance. "Yeah, no way I'm letting you go in there. My room's a mess," Peter says, extending his arms and legs sticking to the door. "Come on, it can't be that bad. We've only been here for a few hours," Kamala retorts. Kitty then walks through Peter, opening the door from the inside. Before Peter can do anything, the class steps in, inspecting the room. Once they walk in, they see a bunk bed, similar to the one in Peter's room, with the bottom bunk being repurposed into a makeshift lab, with a computer there. Second desk is placed near the window, expanding the lab a bit, along with having many different pieces of equipment throughout the table and floor, blocking the class from properly walking in and inspecting the place. There are posters of a couple heroes, such as Iron Man and Captain America, on the wall, along with some unpacked boxes labeled parts and equipment. "Wow, it really is a mess," Kitty comments, looking around the room. "How did you manage to make such a mess in so little time?" asked Todoroki calmly, as Kaminari grabs a delicate piece of equipment to inspect it. Peter grabs it off his hand, placing it back on the desk. "Well, I finished pretty quickly. I don't have that much stuff to unpack, so I continued working," Peter informs, about to go into an explanation of what he's been doing, but he's stopped by Kitty, who says, "Even if you explain, I doubt anybody will understand." They check the rest of the rooms, excluding a couple like Bakugo's and Tsuyu's. After they check them all out, the winner ends up being Todoroki with 3 votes, as many found the Japanese aesthetic interesting. Peter then heads back to his room, as a couple of students are pulled aside by Tsuyu and Uraraka. Peter keeps on working a bit, expanding on some schematics and working on an upgrade for his spider tracers. He ends up passing out on the floor. The next day, Peter wakes up, grabs a toast and a glass of water, and then heads to class after eating it. In class, Aizawa reminds the students about the provisional licensing exam. He informs them that they need to work on developing ultimate moves, while inviting other faculty members into the room to explain further. Ectoplasm, Midnight, and Cementos walk in, trying to clarify and expand on what Aizawa said. Since the concept is pretty abstract, Aizawa orders the students to put on their hero costumes and head to Gym Gamma. There, the teachers explain further how the students are supposed to train and develop their ultimate moves. The training begins with everyone starting to practice, all but Midori, who starts thinking his situation over. "Mr. Ectoplasm, could I please ask for a couple different opponents, like 5? Asks Peter, having an idea for a move. His teacher obliges, creating many different opponents around Peter. Peter leaps into the air, releasing a full web cartridge at everyone in his vicinity, leaving all his enemies tangled up. Having them totally immobilized, Ectoplasm deconstructs the clones and materializes another one next to Peter. "That was a good idea for a move that can help when fighting a multitude of opponents. Is this the route you want to go with?" he asks. "Well, for one of my special moves, yeah. I call it the Web Blossom. The only drawback is it leaves me without any webs for a small period of time until I can recharge," Peter explains. "Have a couple other ideas to diversify my arsenal, but I think this is a good place to start with." "If that's the case, then you should practice with moving opponents. It will likely be harder to tangle them up, but if you can manage, the move will be invaluable in battle," Ectoplasm explains. "Sounds good," says Peter, recharging his webs, ready to go another round. Over the next few hours, Peter develops the move, heading back to the dorms when he finishes, having done a lot of training. The next day, the training resumes in the morning, with Peter working on his fighting style with Ectoplasm, using all he's learned over the last few months to cement a new form of fighting that is harder to predict and takes full advantage of his abilities. In the afternoon, Peter heads to the development studio to present his ideas and schematics to Powerloader. They look them over and start the development for the support items that Peter presented, along with the new suit design, which implements a bunch of new ideas. They'll likely have it ready and send it over in 3 days or so, says Powerloader when they finish. Great, can't wait to try everything out, says Peter as he leaves. Over the next few days, Peter keeps on training, developing the Web Blossom and the Web Trap further, along with further polishing his fighting styles, managing to create different types to fight with in different situations. A couple days later, Peter notices Midoriya's new costume and fighting style and approaches him. With a tone of disappointment, Peter asks, "Why didn't you come to me, Midoriya?" "What do you mean?" asks Midoriya, confused about the situation, stopping his training. "For your costume! Why didn't you ask me to develop it? I had so many ideas," Peter says again, disappointed but not devastated. "Sorry, I completely failed to consider you for the job. After all, I thought you'd be too busy with your own stuff," Izuku responds. "Next time I'll ask you, okay?" "It's not that big of a deal, but it does hurt my pride a little. But yeah, next time I'll give you the coolest upgrade ever," Peter answers. More time passes, with the students doing some training exercises to prepare for the licensing exam, like rescuing someone from an underground mall. Before the students realize it, it's the day of the exam. The students head to Takoba National Stadium, where the provisional licensing exam is going to take place. Aizawa gives a small speech to try and encourage the students. After, they meet a couple other schools and their students who are also taking the exam. After that commotion, Class 1A goes to change their hero costumes, and then they all head to the waiting area. Once there, Mera, the sleepy man from the Public Safety Commission, explains the exercise, telling everyone that only 100 out of the 1,540 students will pass to the second round of the exams, and that to pass, they need to eliminate 2 opponents. The room opens up, showing the students the whole stadium. "I'm sure each of you have different terrains you like or want to avoid. Use your quirks well and do your best. Or not, whatever," says Mera as the students are released. Midoriya thinks the situation over and advises for everyone to stick together, as fighting as a group gives them an advantage. Regardless, 2 groups split off: Todoroki, who goes off on his own, and Bakugo, Kirishima, and Kaminari, who all leave together. The rest of the class decides to stick together, while Midoriya explains why it's better for them to stick together, since everyone already knows about their quirks and their fighting styles and everything else. The exam actually starts, and the situation Midoriya predicted came to pass. The crushing of UA begins. Other schools take advantage of their knowledge and focus on defeating the students of UA. However, the students are better prepared for the attacks than expected, so Shindo from Ketsubutsu Academy uses his quirk to shake the nearby area. "Everyone watch out!" warns Peter, his spider sense going off, but he's too late. An earthquake is created that divides everyone in the nearby area. Peter now finds himself alone in a secluded area of the arena. He doesn't know what to do in this situation as none of his classmates are around. "I should have placed spider tracers on them, or at least then I'd be able to find them," Peter thinks while scaling around the debris. He immediately spots a group of 5 opponents and ducks back behind the rocks. "Okay, can't take them all on blindly. My best bet is to search for my classmates and team up with them to pass the exam," Peter thinks, trying to come up with the best possible strategy. He then double taps the spider symbol and his whole suit begins to change in both appearance and color. It becomes black and green with green marks all around, leading to the spider in the center, kinda making it look like a big spider symbol. He then starts to vanish. Peter keeps moving around the area, trying to find his friends. Out of nowhere, a sonic blast comes after him. Peter's spider sense goes off and he jumps out of the way just in time. He looks at the direction the blast came from and sees Clayton winding up for another attack. Peter starts materializing again. "Hey, idiot! How about you stop shooting?" Peter shouts. "Oh, it's just you," responds Clayton, stopping his charge up. "I thought you were some dangerous enemy, but it's just you, Peter." "What do you mean by that?" asks Peter. "And how did you even find me? I was invisible." "Yeah, you were, but I felt the vibrations you created when walking. They didn't match Hagakure, so I assumed you were from another school," Clayton explains. "And I meant what you heard. Still, we should probably regroup with the others. It's the best way to Peter manages to say before Clayton shushes him. Clayton, feeling someone approaching, gets ready for combat, causing Peter to do the same. Laura shows up, towering over them on a rock before jumping down to join them. "Finally found someone," she says to herself. Seeing their classmate, both students stand down. "By any chance, do you know where the others are?" Peter asks. Laura shakes her head and adds, "The only scents around here were yours and a couple others I didn't recognize." "There's 3 of us. We should have enough raw power to pass the exam on our own, especially if we play this smart," Peter says, starting to strategize with his 2 companions. In other parts of the battlefield, Todoroki manages to defeat a group of ninjas, passing on to the next round, while Midori encounters a strange opponent and Bakugo and company have to fight off a particularly strong one. In other parts of the battlefield, the class starts looking for their companions, being careful to not call attention to themselves. Kitty thinks her situation over. "Wait a minute, no one can even touch me," she exclaims at the sudden realization. She looks for some opponents and rushes at them. They start throwing their balls at her, but they just go right through her. Although she does catch 2 in the air, using them and her movements to eliminate 2 of those she was fighting, passing the exam. Having only about 35 spots left, Peter, Laura, and Clayton put their plans into effect. Peter creates a trap, laying a couple web mines around, along with a couple web traps. Clayton then creates a huge sonic blast to catch the attention of others. Multiple enemies, along with some students of Class 1A, approach. The Class 1A students notice the traps and mines and know to avoid them, while the students from other schools fall into them, getting webbed up and trapped. Peter, Laura, and Clayton, along with their classmates who keep coming, eliminate the trapped prey, managing to get enough points to pass the next round. After all the students that were in the vicinity pass the exam, students from other schools still start utilizing the traps and terrain to their advantage. That's how Shindo and his group managed to pass. Having passed, all the students go to the waiting area to relax and recuperate from the first round of examinations. Peter grabs a sandwich and starts eating it while recharging his web shooters. "Oh, you're finally here," says Kitty, approaching Peter. "Yeah, it took us a while," says Peter in response, taking a bite of his sandwich after. "Us? Who else came with you?" asks Kitty. "Excluding Todoroki, Bakugo's group, and like 4 others, everyone," answers Peter. "Awesome. So how you managed to regroup? How did you guys manage to pass?" asks Kitty. "I just went intangible and charged at everyone." "Smart. I laid traps around in particular areas and we attracted everyone there using Clayton's sonic blasts," Peter explains. "That actually sounds like a great plan," says Kitty, trying to imagine exactly how it went down. After all 100 students pass the exam, the preparations for the next round are set into motion. The city and terrain they were just fighting in is then destroyed in front of their eyes, causing a big impact. The second round is then explained, with some students drawing a parallel to the events of Camino. After it starts, Peter starts moving. "Where are you going?" asks Kamala. "It's better if we split up. Checking a wider area should lead us to get everyone else out sooner. I'm going to the collapsed city. I should be able to move around there a lot quicker," Peter explains. The rest of Class 1A agrees with the idea. Some decide to work together to help out, while others move to the location they'd be most comfortable in. Peter searches through the tops of the streets of the collapsed city, while Clayton and Kitty team up to find everyone inside the building debris. Clayton locates the civilians in need of help while Kitty goes and rescues them. Peter finds what looks like a little kid stuck under some rocks near the city. As he removes the boulder and grabs the kid, intending on taking him to safety, he starts remembering when he himself was a kid, watching his parents in action. "It's all gonna be alright, kid. You're going to be fine," Peter says, comforting the kid as they move through the collapsed buildings. The child evaluates him as they go. After dropping off the kid at the safe zone, Peter goes back to the destroyed city, intending on searching for more people to help. He helps out an old lady with a broken arm and two men, one with a broken leg and one who couldn't feel his legs. After that, he found an unconscious kid. Having delegated the transportation of the previous three to Rock and Yo-Yo-Rozu, who were better equipped for it, he takes the kid back to the safety area, realizing it has been moved to protect the civilians from the conflict. Peter prioritizes keeping everyone safe over looking for other survivors, as there are more people doing that. He jumps into the battlefield, webbing villains up left and right. He's a bit confused, having expected both Laura and Clayton to be there, but thinks it over, realizing that their quirks are very suited for locating missing civilians. After mobilizing and taking down a bunch of henchmen, thanks to the help of other contestants, Peter's attention is turned to Gang Orca, the main villain. He looks at the battlefield, spotting Todoroki and Inasa finally working together to immobilize the big bad in a fire tornado. The students begin to reinforce their defenses to protect all the civilians, while also reinforcing the front lines, intent on attacking Gang Orca once the fire stops. But before any of that can happen, a buzzer sound is heard. Yeah. So at this time, all of the Huck members who were deployed have been rescued from the disaster zone. It may seem anticlimactic, but with this, the provisional licensing exam has officially been concluded, says Mara. The students all go change into their regular clothes, while the Hero Public Safety Commission tally the scores. The results are shown to Class 1A, with almost everyone passing, excluding Bakugo and Todoroki for their behavior during the exam. The printouts with the results are passed. In this situation, Peter got 87 points, having lost many because his web swing was considered dangerous to the structure of the buildings, although he didn't lose that many because, after closer inspection, the swinging seemed to be very carefully calculated. True, I wasn't considering how unstable the buildings were. It's just dumb luck that I didn't end up falling because of that. Either that or my spider sense ended up doing a lot of the work for me, Peter thinks while looking over his score. Kitty managed to get 73, having been of a lot of use, but also not being able to do much without directions. She did get lost inside some debris while looking for someone. Clayton got 66. He was able to locate a lot of civilians, but couldn't do much without endangering the area, so he got punished for standing around too much. Kamala managed to put her powers and skills to the test, getting a score of 95, and Laura, who was invaluable in locating many of the civilians, got 97 points. All the students who passed received their provisional licenses, and they then head home, having acquired their provisional licenses, with Peter wanting to make some more adjustments to his hero costume. And that's the end of the video. I do hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please like, subscribe if you're new, and check out my Discord, link in the description below, where you can always talk, ask questions, and just hang out with other people who watch my videos. And usually me, although lately I've been speaking less there because I've been working on so many videos. Mainly because school's gonna start soon. It's my last year. I need to focus a lot on school. So while I have the free time, I'm trying to prepare as much as I can. So, yeah. That said, I do hope you all enjoyed this video. I know I didn't focus that much on people, and I wanted to focus more on a rivalry relation between Peter and Clayton. They don't really like each other, which is why Clayton attacked Peter. I mean, he didn't know it was Peter. He knows the steps of most of his class members, Laura is one of the few who we can't really get a grip on because she moves so silently and her step sometimes changes and she's very unpredictable for him, even her sounds, but he knew it was Peter when he attacked. That said, next episode they will be starting the whole internship things, and I'm pretty sure Peter is going to get someone else this time around. You'll just have to find out next time. In, I think, 2 weeks is the plan. I have all the videos for the next year already planned out. I know which video is coming out which day, not off the top of my head, but I have it written down. And this is assuming that I can keep up the 2 videos a week schedule, because I might fail of that. Yeah, all that said, I do hope you guys are enjoying the content. I know some of you are disappointed that do more of this, do more of that, but I'm trying to do a round robin thing, keep the series balanced while also reaching a certain point. I also want to warn you guys now, when this series and the Ben 10, Midori Had the Omnitrix series reach part 10, they're going to go on a break while 2 new series come into play, which have been voted on by you guys, and I already start working on a bit, or at least thinking about how everything's going to work, what I'm going to do, etc., etc. So, all that explained, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, enjoyed the series so far. Hope you guys want to see next time, and until then, have an absolutely fantastic day, everyone. Bye!